The edge of limits is very close to my heart. I've been writing about equality forever, and now is the time for us to really look at the edge of limits. What the edge of limits is a response to the continual barrage of sexual consent issues. Furthermore, I just read the report on the New South Wales government, and the report says that the New South Wales government is about bullying, misogyny and attack on women. Now, the Premier stood up and says it will stop now, today. And I listened to him and I know it will not stop. I read in the paper about 150 boys who engaged in secret social media. And what was the media doing? Anti-Semitism, racism, misogyny, sexual violence. Are they kidding? No. Look, not every boy will be dragged into their peer group behaviour, but how many just follow? It becomes the new values of the current generation. We can't have it. Look, there is an issue in private schools, especially if it's sole gender, because the private schools do a lot of the ticking of the boxes when they have their endless consent messages. It doesn't work. What they're doing now is they're trying to have co-ed discussions. It works better because when they do that, suddenly the girls are not stereotypical. They are real human beings, and when you attack them and treat them as objects, there is a reaction, one that is not acceptable. I think the government and school programs are valuable. It raises the consciousness that we need respect. But why is it not translating to the kids? Because it is an instructive process. You have to sit there and you give the answers the teachers want. Well, that doesn't work. What works is story. Follow Socrates, who says the way to engender change is through story. To put yourself in that story and see your reaction. It leads to critical change. The edge of limits is the answer to this problem. The reason being the current methodology of respect shows no respect. The edge of limits throws the girls and boys into real life scenarios, and then they get to make a decision. And while some people won't take the decision that we need consent, a lot of young men want to do the right thing. They do. And this is the way to do it. They get to talk about what they want in a sexual relations, how they want someone to talk to. They get to have someone on their arm when they go to a dance. It's warm. And the current method of just being a lot of bravado when you confront a young woman, that doesn't really lead to any result other than rejection. The edge of limits is about a survival camp. Boys are going into the wilderness. They know that they're going to have orders and they're going to climb mountains and ford streams. It looks great until they get on the journey. In this particular novel, the teacher, Mr. Seaton, puts the boys together who are not friends. In that way, he feels that boys will break down the barriers and become best friends with people they hate. That doesn't happen, I can tell you. So off they go on the camp. And of course the characters come out. Fat George, he's the most gorgeous person in the world, continually bullied. But when he gets on this camp, he finds a defender, Sam Knox, and he becomes better. He becomes able to deal with the argy-bargy of other boys. And he changes his name. They change his name from Fat George to Sumo George. How fabulous is that? But there are lots of young fellows on that camp. Some like the weasel Spano. Some like the hero, Luke. The trouble with Luke is that his father has huge pressure on him to succeed and to be a winner. Every one of the boys have complex family lives. They are trying to grapple with their search for identity. And of course, there's always girls. That's what they think about. It's the time of high-level testosterone, and you want a girl. But the thing is, the boys have no idea how they are supposed to treat girls. None. And this journey is not only a journey for consent, it's a journey to understand their own search for identity, because their identity is very fragile. But overall, it is that deep trek into the wilderness. And you know, young people are very engaged with the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is confronting, it deals with all the hard issues of life, it deals with food control. It's like that passion of the Hunger Games, but set in the wilderness. And we all know where they are going eventually. They're going to the dark place of the cave, where they have to jump into this cave and find who they are. You know, the thing is, in this book, Sam, who's very influenced by his wonderful grandfather, basically my father, he learns what it is to have courage. And by the end of this trek, he does have courage, and he will speak about the rape. He's a boy who loves his grandfather profoundly and learns the lessons that his grandfather shares with him. They're not lessons of telling you what to think. They're the lessons of life. And Sam becomes more and more aware. Is that how I could be a man? The Edge of Limits shows teenage boys exactly where they are. They are silent. You know, I drop off my daughter to school, and in butterflies she opens her arms and they engage in a hug and get on with their gossip. This is how my son, or Sam Knox, how he engages. I have to leave him around the corner and he goes strolling into the school. He sees his best mate, gives him a dead arm. They know they're mates and they go off. They are silent. But boys have exactly the same journey as girls. They've got to find their identity. Australia has one of the highest youth suicides in the world. One of them. I can't take it. It's not good enough. We have to break the silence. They can't break it easily because there's so many stereotypes that young men must be silent and endure it. And if they cry, I mean, it means they're not male, but they are males cry. What I do in this book is I open the discussion so they can start to talk. Boys do have the same search as girls. They want to know, is there a God? Why am I here? Where will I be? They are the same as girls, but unlike girls, where can they talk? Who can they talk to? Perhaps their father, who only has expectations of high achievement, can't talk to him. Talk to his mother. How can they? They seem weak. So they're locked into silence at a time where their identity is fragile. We can't stand by. We can't, and we won't. And that is why I wrote The Edge of Limits. When it is read at home, when it is in libraries, when it is in schools, it will open the discussion. Some boys will never ever talk to girls about their personal angst. They can't. But guess what? They can think. And when they open a book which has their stories, their confusions in it, they get comfort. They say, oh, that's how you do it. Young readers are so different to adult readers. They will reread and reread a story, looking for the ways forward. I found with boys especially, they bring out their search for God. They bring out their search for meaning, and it plays on them as they grow older. And what this book is aimed at is, it's not a book that you read and discard. No, it's a book that influences you, so you will reread it, find new ways, and let it be part of your journey towards adulthood. The Edge of Limits looks like it is not about female empowerment. It is. It is about the incredible admiration I have for my parents, especially my father. He was such a hero. He went through war. They escaped Hungary. They made a home here. Their incredible strength to leave everything they knew without language. Look, my mother spoke French, and my father, sadly, spoke Russian because he was in forced labour in Russia. But they came through as one of the survivors, and they came to Australia. Everything I write is written in honour of my parents, in honour of the fact that they never lost hope. I would have lost hope, but no. And you know, when I wrote Butterflies, which is about disability and how you are a character, a real person, whatever you face. In her case, it was burns, but she comes out a hero, and the wonderful men in that story are there because they're men like my father, like my son, like my brother, amazing men. And when I wrote The Edge of Limits, it is to give respect to men, to show them another way that they can achieve all they can be. The Edge of Limits is available in all good bookshops, and I'm that happy about that because it is meaningful, passionate, that everyone reads it so that they can find a way forward.